And welcome everyone to Mikey Films Reviews. And welcome everyone to the first official review video that's actually included with an intro video. I don't normally do my reviews or anything with a exclusive intro, but finally starting something new as we're getting closer to 2025. But this review is about the 2023 horror film called Late Night with the Devil. It's a supernatural horror film that uses elements of found footage and it's based on a fictional 1970s late night talk show called Night Owls. And I will just say that the mood and the setting of the film actually kept my attention quite well, because there were moments where I forgot I was actually watching a horror movie and thought I was actually watching a Halloween-themed episode of a late 70s talk show. And maybe it's because I have a habit of watching old talk shows, like old episodes of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, who the host of this fictional show, Night Owls, was fighting for in the ratings against the Tonight Show. And as the title of the film implies, on this episode of the show Night Owls, the host is allowing a parapsychologist to conduct a ritual with a possessed girl to contact a demon, one of the many devils of hell that serve and are loyal to Lucifer himself. And on the show, there's also a guest who is a self-proclaimed medium, who puts on quite a show. He's called out by a magician turned skeptic, who I believe is actually based on a real person, a real magician who became a skeptic, and he a guy who died a couple of years ago, actually. And the medium leaves the show because he ends up projectile vomiting a black goo several times, once on the skeptic and again at the camera, which is like, it was a jump scare. It got me. Flashback to The Exorcist. Pea soup. And later we find out that the medium had died en route to the hospital in the ambulance from a severe hemorrhage. And before all this happened, he had come into contact with a very powerful, very angry, or a very emotional entity, which caused him a lot of excruciating pain. And even he says something wasn't right. Like, this is different. But the show continues, and the poor host, his assistant, his co-host, poor man Gus, he's freaking out the entire show. He's I assume the character was very religious, because he was very off-put by this, as he called it, sorcery, and he didn't like what they were meddling with for the show, risking all this on their safety for ratings. And the show continues. The skeptic gets on my fucking nerves, because here's the thing. I am a profound and firm believer in the paranormal. I do believe in ghosts and demons. And I have had wonderful discussions with skeptics. There are skeptics that are wonderful people who are very calm and willing to discuss things. And then there's skeptics like this character that's a very just up in your face, very, no, you did this, you wired the fishing line. And you can't reason with those people because they don't want to talk. They just believe what they believe, and if you try to question that, they get very with you. And there's a reason why I have a hard time even talking with skeptics, because I don't know if you're going to be common ground skeptic, or if you're going to be no, Mr. Attention, no. This went from a review to a rant about skeptics. But I've had my own experiences. You take with that as you will. And he's really my worst character in the whole film, just because he fucking annoys me. I hated every second he was on the screen. Though I do enjoy what happens to him at the end. Because they do the ritual, they do this, they make contact with this demon who happens to recognize the host, Jack, because he's part of a group that goes out to this camp in the forest, which apparently, upon doing some research, is a real camp. It's based on a real camp that is visited every summer by a lot of the most influential and important people in the country, most notably Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon, two former American presidents. Not surprised, especially by Nixon. But I think the camp in the film, though it's the same camp, I do believe they exaggerated some of the stuff they do there, because I don't know if two former presidents were with statues of entities and other things. I don't know if they were doing all those weird rituals. I don't know if they were drinking the blood or not. But the host made a deal with the devil, essentially for fame, for notoriety, to help save his failing show. Because this episode is based on a Halloween episode during the show's 6th season in 1977. And then this being after, like, a year after his wife had died from cancer, and come to find out his wife was the sacrifice he made in that deal with the devil to save his show, to remain famous. That his wife had lung cancer and she never smoked. Doctors were unsure of how she got this. Well, she was the price that he had to pay for the fame, for the notoriety, for the sake of the show. And the skeptic, being a magician, does try to do a group hypnosis to try and disprove what they had just witnessed with the girl being possessed, with the chair levitating and the voices and the skin alterations. That's a thing, accusing the parapsychologist of having hypnotized the entire studio into seeing what they were seeing. And while he does do a successful attempt at the group hypnosis, they then review the footage playback of the demon possession part, and with the hypnosis, what we saw, what didn't actually happen. The power of suggestion through hypnosis. When they watch the playback of the possession, it plays out the same way that it was witnessed. And then when Jack has it slowed down frame by frame, little second by second, he sees the ghost of his wife behind him, her hand on his shoulder, and he freaks the fuck out. And then again, the skeptic tries to accuse him of setting all this up as an elaborate thing for the show, a fantastic, genius episode. But then the girl becomes possessed again. She kills poor Gus when he's trying to repel her with his cross, confirming that he is religious. She then kills the parapsychologist and her caregiver by hanging her by her necklace up in the air and it slicing into her throat. Very gory. She then, and I enjoy this, as graphic as it was of a kill for a horror film, I enjoy this because I hate this character so much. The skeptic on his knees praying to a higher power, taking the check he'd been flaunting, saying he'd pay you if you could prove this is real. The demon burns the check as the girl's head is split open through all this. And she burns the skeptic alive. He's melting, he's burning, he's crying and screaming. And I took pleasure in seeing that, because that character annoyed the fuck out of me. And if you're a character in a movie and you annoy me and piss me off so much and you die, I don't have sympathy for your character. I actually applauded that kill. It's also great effects as well. And then Jack is flung against the wall of the studio, and then he's taken backstage, and then we're treated to Jack going through a nightmarish, hellish version of his own show. And what I could only compare to a severe fever dream, because even I was confused with what I was seeing. I didn't know if what I was seeing was real or if what I was seeing was what the fuck it was. But that's when it confirmed that he did make a deal with the devil at one of these encampments at this camp in the forest, and that his wife was the price that he'd pay for what he wanted. Because when you make a deal with the devil, you have to give up the one thing you care about most to get what you really care about most. A high price to pay. There's a horn honking. I hope you didn't hear that. God damn you horn honkers. And yeah, the host, very sleazy, and wanted absolute fame and fortune and to save his show, sold out his wife to the devil for what he wanted. And overall, it was actually a very good movie. I don't know why I didn't watch it when it first came out, because it came out a year ago. But I actually really enjoyed it, because again, me being a believer in the paranormal, I love watching supernatural, paranormal, horror related films, and this was done very good. And I believe it had like a short run in American theaters, but it was primarily shown on Shudder, the horror uh, exclusive streaming service, which I do watch from time to time. I don't always keep a Shudder subscription, but when I do, I look for the shows and the movies they have on there whenever they put a new film. And I'm glad I took the time to find to watch it, because the film I loved it. And it's hard for me to enjoy most modern supernatural horror films because they just aren't that good. But this was a very good movie for such a low, because I can tell it was a low budget film, because the entire thing primarily took place on one set, and it used a lot of the elements of the found footage genre. So it was a very low budget film. But you can do a lot with a low budget film. When you have a good team of filmmakers, a good set of actors, you can do a lot with a low budget horror film taking place primarily on one set, with very few alterations to that one set. And I know I'm the kind of guy who likes seeing sequels. I like seeing things further explained. I don't think this film needs a sequel. I think we got everything we needed in one film. I think it easily can be a self-contained story. I don't think we need a Late Night with the Devil 2. I don't think we need to revisit this story. I think it did what it was supposed to do. It told the story, and it kept us entertained. It scared us. And I think it's well off as its own thing. And that's surprising coming from me, a person who loves seeing sequels to films and spin-offs of shows. I think this is better off left as a one-off thing, because otherwise it might ruin the charm of this film. And that was my review of Late Night with the Devil. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you've seen the film, if you haven't, you really should. It's a very good movie. Let me know what you all think down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.